I like the story a lot. I like what it said, and I like the morality of it.
I always say, okay, Clint, are you ready to retire this year? He says, no, are you? I say, no. I'm waiting for the phone call where Clint says he's hanging up his spurs. That's never going to happen.
In the world of cinema, there are few names as enduring and iconic as Clint Eastwood.
Mr. Eastwood, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Steve.
I got it.
Mr. Eastwood, sir.
He's a truly gifted professional filmmaker.
No matter how successful he gets, he's a wonderful human being.
He's one of those characters that you just go, you walk away after talking to Clint and you feel kind of better about humanity.
His career spans over 6 decades, and his journey from a struggling actor to a Hollywood legend is nothing short of remarkable.
Who has been more influential towards film, towards independent actors and filmmakers making their own mark, to people having integrity and making strong stands and supporting their country? I mean, this man embodies all of those things.
Clint Eastwood, nicknamed Samson, was born on May 31st, 1930, in San Francisco, California.
October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday. The New York Stock Exchange is in a panic. Frantic investors have scrambled to unload their stocks at any price. Everyone wants to sell. No one wants to buy. Suddenly, even the most gilt-edged securities are practically valueless. The stock market crash has come, and the Great Depression has begun.
Son of Ruth Wood and Clinton Eastwood Sr., he was raised in a working-class family during the Great Depression. The young Eastwood's modest beginnings shaped the strong work ethic and resilience that would define his life. The family had relocated 3 times in order for work to be found. Finally, they settled in Piedmont, California, where their quality of living would significantly improve as each member of the family would find work. Clint found education a chore, opting to avoid studying altogether in order to have fun. On multiple occasions, he was punished due to infractions and even kicked out of Piedmont High for writing obscenities on the athletic school board and burning an effigy on the lawn.
From the scene. Nazimova, who apparently left her hat at home. Late in 28, the talkies get a firm grip on Hollywood. Production methods and equipment are revolutionized. Cameramen are locked in soundproof booths, ironically nicknamed ice boxes.
The 1930s would be known as the start of Hollywood's golden age. Huge studios were established in order to capture grandiose narratives. And for an average of 27 cents a theater ticket, movies would serve as a vacation from the harsh reality of the financial crisis.
Created by Ken Murray. The 4 Marx Brothers are invited to put their footprints in the forecourt of Grauman's Chinese Theater. From left to right, Harpo also presents the Male Acting Award. Sonia Henney makes her screen debut in 1 in a Million, and Tyrone Power Jr. becomes the newest romantic sensation.
On the ground, all along a highly fluid battle line, vicious fighting continued between the Red invaders and the UN defenders.
For every prisoner taken on Basio, we would find hundreds of thousands of fanatical Japanese between Tarawa and Tokyo who were ready to fight to the death.
The 1950s had Eastwood participate in the military during the Korean War. After basic training, Eastwood became a swimming instructor at Fort Ord, California. After his military service, he moved to Los Angeles, where he met a photographer called Chuck Hill. Upon noticing Eastwood's stunning features and demeanor, he recommended the ex-Army man go into acting, regardless of his non-existent experience. Before long, Eastwood was working with Universal Pictures on a $75 a week contract, taking acting classes to prepare him for the camera. Unfortunately, the aspiring actor was starting to lose hope. Jobs had started to dry up. However, one day on a fluke, he met Rex Reed whilst drinking coffee in Universal's cafeteria. Rex offered Eastwood a screen test for an upcoming CBS TV show. As though it was meant to be, Eastwood accepted the offer, and his career would begin.
California bankers were among the first to recognize the enormous possibilities of the motion picture industry, and it was they who supplied the capital, which to a large extent made possible the now historic development of the movies as a new art form.
Another English girl has already made a name for herself in TV westerns. Hazel Court of Dick and the Duchess.
Have you had fun making westerns?
Oh, yes, I made my first about a month ago, called Bonanza. And, well, true to style, I got up on the horse, and the horse took off with me way up into the mountains. And they told me, the wrangler said that, oh, riding a western horse is just the same as riding an English horse. But of course it isn't. And I was doing everything wrong, and suddenly the horse took off with me, and I yelled like mad and screamed, which I shouldn't have done because the Indians screamed to make the horses go faster, you see.
But it ran away with you?
Oh, way out into the mountains.
I grew up in the 30s and 40s, and westerns were, every kid wanted to be in a western, every kid wanted to pack a gun and ride a horse. So as a kid, I liked them very much, and but you know, there was no television in those days, so everything, the movies were followed much, you know, closer.
Did you have the B Western stars? Did you have any favorite guys? Any guys you liked?
You know, I liked anything.
People think back in your own life, and you think of how you think back in an experience like being in the Army or something. You think of only the good times. You don't think of all the lousy times.
Eastwood's early acting career was characterized by small roles in films and television series. His breakthrough came when he landed the role of Rowdy Yates in the popular TV series Rawhide. This role introduced him to a wide audience and set the stage for his journey into Hollywood stardom. The show ran for 8 seasons, and the name Clint Eastwood was gaining popularity. It was in the 1960s that Eastwood achieved international fame through a series of iconic spaghetti westerns directed by Sergio Leone. These films, including A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, showcased Eastwood as the stoic and mysterious man with no name. His strong, silent persona, punctuated by the infamous cigarillo, became an enduring symbol of the Wild West.
I've forgotten how I felt about it. Sir? Somebody said that they asked it.
You may not remember this. It's the old station from Gone with the Wind. It's come in handy again, this time in a TV serial. And that, as they say, seems to be the way the cookie crumbles in Hollywood these days. At 20th Century Fox Studios, Tom asked film producer Jerry Wald whether Hollywood was now the TV capital of the world.
No, I think that's quite wrong. I think they'll be making television films here, but you'll find that Hollywood will always remain in the position of manufacturing anywhere from 200, 300 films, feature films a year. They're making television pictures here, but television pictures are mainly half-hour films, and they're really, television has become the assembly line. Television erased the B pictures, and B pictures are now seen on television. In fact, we have a joke in Hollywood that if you want to see a television where you see all the films that you've been trying to avoid in the theaters.
That is the appeal.
I don't know. It's pure escapism, I think. Escape to a different time in history and fantasy kind of deals. And in the day when the law and order was all built around the individual and how well he took care of himself. So I think that's a fantasy that we don't have anymore, and you can't have in an organized society.
The spaghetti westerns became prevalent in cinema. Standing the test of time, their traits would go on to be homaged in many films to come.
There's a very haunting quality that he put on top of the classic American Western, like High Noon and things like that, with the way he uses music and the way he uses, it just gives it a more sense of longing.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money.
From the final showdown in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, we see three conflicting ideals come together. The tension rises with the beautifully executed sound design and back-and-forth cuts, close-ups on the actors' eyes and their weaponry, coining the term cowboy shot as the camera is positioned at their holsters, awaiting the inevitable climax. Eastwood's on-screen presence commanded power. When the audience hears,
Get 3 coffins ready.
in a fistful of dollars, we prepare ourselves for a masterclass in visual storytelling, reminiscent of the late Akira Kurosawa's works. Eastwood is outnumbered, and yet with ease, he controls the scene, from the pacing to the emotion. With ease, the opposition is dispatched. Sergio Leone saw something in Clint Eastwood that was truly unique. He had this natural charisma and presence that was perfect for the Western genre. Their collaboration forever changed the course of both their careers.
That was the appeal.
I don't know. It's pure escapism, I think. You escape to a different time in history and fantasy kind of deals. And in the day when the law and order was all built around the individual, how well he took care of himself. So I think that's a fantasy that we don't have anymore, and you can't have it in an organized society. Asked me if I wanted to go to Italy and make a Western, a remake of a Japanese film. And I said, no, I really don't. I said, I'm doing a Western now, and it's on TV every week. I said, and we have a little hiatus, and I'd just like to have a few days off, maybe go fishing or something. I read the script. They asked me to read the script as a favor to the head of William Morris and Ball. And I read it, I said, hey, this is your Jimbo. I remember that I was a big fan of Kurosawa's Yojimbo. And I thought, at the time I saw that, I thought that would make a great Western, but nobody would have the nerve enough to do it because it was so kind of wild. I've never been to Spain, and we did a lot of fun. So I went over there, and it was a very small picture. It was made for $200,000. Really, wow. I did the other two pictures every year, and by that time, Sergio had more money to put in production. I made those, which were fantasy westerns. I mean, they were more operatic westerns. Yeah. But very stylized, and Sergio had was great for picking faces. Yeah. Just looking at things a little different, working with a European director is good for me.
Were you surprised that those Italian films took off the way they did?
Yeah, I didn't even know they were there. I did those and they came out and they were stylized. I didn't know it was going to be a hit. It was made under the title of Magnifico Stranero.
Huh.
And so I didn't think about it. So and I'd read Variety and they would say, Westerns are out in Italy and all this. So I said, oh, well, I make one and they're out. So, and then all of a sudden they started printing a fistful of dollars.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was the one I was in.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, so it's a hit picture. And all of a sudden one day somebody put in there starring Clint Eastwood. And I'd never seen that before, except on television. Yeah. And I thought, this couldn't be the one. Yeah, it turned out to be it was.
While Eastwood was making a name for himself in the spaghetti westerns, he took on another iconic role in the early 1970s, that of Detective Harry Callahan in Dirty Harry. The character was a departure from his Western persona, but still embodied the strong, morally ambiguous hero that audiences loved. The film series was a massive success and solidified Eastwood's status as a Hollywood superstar. During this time, it was confirmed that Eastwood was the highest-paid actor in the world. One of the most famous lines in cinematic history,
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
became synonymous with Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry.
Go ahead. Make my day.
The film industry was at an all-time high. The 1970s provided the world with new directors set on encapsulating the human condition, such as the rise of Martin Scorsese, Kubrick, Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, and many more. Eastwood's acting prowess extended beyond his tough guy roles. As his career evolved, he ventured into a variety of genres, proving his versatility as an actor. Films like The Bridges of Madison County showcased his dramatic depth, while Every Which Way But Loose and its sequel demonstrated his comedic chops.
It's no joke. It's Eastwood like you've never seen him before. In a new film called
Every Which Way But Loose, you turn me. Every which way but loose. Inside the fire's burning me. In my mind, you just keep turning me.
There can't be too many guys driving around this valley with an ape.
I don't do anything anymore. I've worked for many years. I guess there must be several thousand movies that I've worked on.
The first image you have of many of your favorite films is probably a Bill Gold creation.
I have to analyze the problem. What is the movie about? What is the story about? What is it trying to say? Whatever the style of the movie is, what kind of an audience I want to appeal to. So they get some sort of an inkling about what the film is going to represent. It should look like. We knew it was this handcuffed couple and the barricade of police. I'll usually read a script or I'll go and see footage of the movie. I would try to decide what would be the most marketable thing to say about this movie and to project it into a piece of art. Now, this is what we did for the poster for Bridges of Madison County. The photographer on the set took this shot of Clint with his little baby. He loved the lighting and he loved the embrace quality of it. So I said, gee, maybe we can do something like that. We got Meryl Streep to come down, and she brought with her one of her assistants, and he held her in the right position. We put it together in Photoshop.
I think when I first started out in the dollar films, people were saying, the critics at that time were saying, well, who's this upstart? What's he doing in this? What's the idea? How dare these Italians make an American Western film? And who's this television actor hanging out? And then when I started directing films, people were going, we're not sure we accept him as an actor. What's he doing now? He's going to direct films. But I think what happens is, with the advent of cinema schools, which they never had when I started out, at least not in the way they have them today, everyone, including reviewers of stuff, have come up with much more knowledge and much more history of film. So I think nowadays people are approaching it a lot differently, and a lot of current reviewers have grown up more with some of them dated my films or first dates or whatever, some certain formative periods in their life. So I'm not an upstart to them. I'm somebody who's been there for them for a long time.
Clint Eastwood's transition from actor to director was a pivotal moment in his career. He made his directorial debut with Play Misty for Me in 1971 and never looked back.
Being completely smothered by somebody?
There's no escape in passion. There's no escape in speed. There's no escape from terror.
You will change your accent.
Nobody asked you.
Eastwood's directorial style was marked by a minimalist approach, emphasizing strong storytelling and character development. To him, the art was everything. From his on-screen presence, Eastwood made a successful foray into political elections. Eastwood served as the mayor of Carmel by the Sea, a small town in California, from 1986 to 1988. During his tenure, he focused on improving the city's infrastructure and made efforts to reduce local government regulations.
Some fear the system encourages celebrity mayors, like Clint Eastwood, former mayor of Carmel in California.
He says, and I think you have to believe him, that his only ambition is for Carmel. And really, you can't imagine this tiny little place being much of a springboard for anybody in politics. I think more people live on my block in New York than in Carmel.
Now, why does the entertainment industry go for politics? Is it an ego thing in America?
Well, they get a lot of ego satisfaction in the entertainment business itself. I think to some degree, it's that given the nature of modern politics in the States, the skills are somewhat similar. It's getting up and giving the same speech to 1,000 rubber chicken circuit dinners and being convincing and being sincere on television.
Political aspirations for Carmel, and I did a 2-year term as mayor. Opted not to run for election again, so because I felt that somebody else should do it, I think there's something unhealthy about people who get in politics for life. I think they get very much in a rut. And I'm much for a term limitation.
Over the years, Eastwood directed a series of critically acclaimed films. With the release of Unforgiven in 1992, not only had Clint nominated for Best Actor, but also won him the Oscar for Best Director.
You've only done 2 Westerns in 20 years. What made you decide to come back and do it again?
Just a good story. I like this one, and I've been saving it to do now. Who knows if when you do another Western again, because sometimes you don't find good material. It's just a great Americana. We've been raised on them. Congratulations. Thank you, Dale. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. A lot of people said that when Unforgiven was made, it was sort of a homage to Westerns of the past. How do you feel about the fact that they don't make very many Westerns anymore, and how do you feel the Westerns that fit into our film heritage?
Well, I don't know if it was a homage to the past, maybe an homage to the future of Westerns, but it sort of demythologicalized them, and that was intended, but that doesn't mean I want to really stop them, because I think they're a truly great American art form. And I'd like to wish anybody who takes them on great luck, and possibly if they can get a script as good as David Webb Peoples had written for me, then they'll be equally as successful and have a great time.
A triple nominee in the leading actor and directing categories, and as producer of the Best Picture nominee, Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood.
How did that come to you?
Well, it was given to me as a sample script for David Peoples' work. This was back in 1980. And it was given to me as a sample. They said, this guy's a wonderful writer, and I was looking for a wonderful writer on another project. I started reading it, and I liked it, and I said, boy, this is wonderful. Who? Well, somebody else is doing it. And I said, okay, well, we'll figure the writer for something else then. And it turns out that the script was available. And so I bought it, and our Warners bought it on my behalf. I slipped it in a drawer. I said, this would be a great last Western for me, and I'd done quite a few Westerns up to that point. I said, this would be a great last one because of the nature of the story and the you know, the hauntedness of the man and everything. And then all of a sudden, about 10 years later, I woke up and said, Jesus, I've still got that in the drawer. So I took it out of the drawer, reread it, and liked it even more.
What are you feeling right now? Are you excited, or is this just another accolade from Hollywood?
No, I'm excited because we can forget about this and go on to something else. I mean, like back to work. Every director I've ever worked for has been an inspiration. And Sergio going to Europe gave me another outlook at our own genre of the West, which we'd previously only looked at through the eyes of John Ford and Hawks and Anthony Mann and John Sturges and all these wonderful directors.
I like the story a lot. I like what it said. I like the morality of it. And I have done, as well as I've seen over many years, a lot of stories that didn't have much morality, but they did have a lot of just entertainment values.
It's very much a grown-ups Western, I think. Youngsters who are only interested in root and shoot-em-ups might find it a little meandering in that it is slow to build. But it's a real sort of visually lyrical, elegiac sort of Western.
In 2004, Eastwood starred in and directed $1 Million Baby, a film that earned him accolades and awards, including the Academy Award for Best Director. This marked a turning point in his career, as he was now recognized not only as a talented actor, but also as a formidable director.
It's a little tricky. I started doing it in 1970 with the play Misty, and the only reason I did it then is that was the only way I could get the job, is directing, is to be in the film. So I went ahead and did it, and I just got used to it over the years. I've done several films without being in it, and it's much easier, and it's much more pleasant, and I'll probably end up doing that more in the future. But in the case of Unforgiven, I liked the script very much. I had purchased it, and it's very hard to turn it over to somebody else's concept after you've invested that much time and effort in it.
Being an accomplished jazz musician, Eastwood found himself writing his own score for Mystic River, a 2003 release, shortly followed by the critically acclaimed Letters from Iwo Jima and Gran Torino.
The picture turned out to be a success, so I figured maybe this would be good to quit on top. Unlike most people who sort of drift down to the end, or like a prize fighter who fights one too many fights or something. But When Gran Torino came along, it seemed like an interesting part. It was for a man my age. I figured it wasn't stretching that much, so I decided, yeah, I'll go ahead and give it another shot. I'm still saying that. I mean, I might do 10 roles if some 10 roles, great roles came up, but I don't know how many great roles there are for a guy who's 38. and so you just don't know. So you just never say never.
He allows me as an actor to bring out my character very much, and he allows me to take the time to kind of just live the impulse of the role I play, Spider, in Gran Torino. So.
Did you learn a lot from him? He's certainly a legend.
Yeah, one of the main things I learned is how to hold a gun straight ahead. So, that's one of the main things that he taught me how to hold a gun, because I keep tilting it, but he's like, hold it straight, firm. So, but besides that, a lot of patience and a lot of just leadership. And surrounding yourself with him. He's a really wise man, and just surrounded by a guy like that, it's a big impact in my life. So.
I had always planned when I started directing in 1970 that after a few years, I'd get tired of looking at myself on the screen and say, well, okay, let's not do that anymore. But I just continued on. Every once in a while, something pops up, and I'm not saying it won't happen again, but probably the odds get less as you set yourself for the roles that fit your age group.
Okay.
Acting is an ensemble art form, and so that's what it's all about, is interacting with other people and making scenes come to life like they would in real life, as near to real life as possible, and that's the whole deal. So it's very nice.
Was Clint sort of quite obsessive about that? I mean, it looks so, you go into that world, that period, so totally.
I think what he was saying, he vaguely remembered his mom, and it was more the 30s, but that she had a similar green dress. So I think he had some kind of, so it wasn't as much a duty to that time. It was really a love and an interest, and he grew up in Los Angeles, and it was more the history of Los Angeles, and I think everybody was kind of curious about that time. It's a very interesting time in Los Angeles, and even forgetting the corruption, just the detail of the 20s and what the 20s were like for people, and the red car, and the. But it was, he has a great team, and so it's Clint, but it's also the art director and the DP and everybody who just did their job so well.
Clint Eastwood's impact on the world of cinema extends far beyond his own work. He has inspired countless filmmakers and actors with his dedication to storytelling and his ability to craft compelling narratives. Actors and directors around the globe would speak highly of this versatile superstar.
Do you think this movie has particular relevance today? We're about to inaugurate the first African-American president.
Could be, and it also relates to the economy and the depressed state of the automobile industry and retirees and people learning things and tolerance about your neighbor and all kinds of different things.
You didn't write this film, they didn't write it for you, but they said nobody else really could have played that role. How do you feel about the writer saying that?
Well, I agree with it.
Now, you must be very privileged to play probably the unofficial First Lady of South Africa at that time. It's an incredible part.
She kind of was for a bit, wasn't she? Yeah, before Gracia Michelle came onto the scene, yeah. And I kind of think of her a bit like a bossy sister who's kind of going, no, come on, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be doing policy, we're supposed to be doing health and education and housing and employment and HIV/AIDS and stuff like that. And suddenly Mandela is doing rugby, rugby, what's that for? Because she doesn't get that he's got the political nous to use the vehicle of rugby as a way of bringing the country together. Because the Springboks was seen as the white Afrikaner team, rugby wasn't a sport that was played by a lot of black kids. It wasn't seen as anything to do with black South Africans. So for Mandela to decide that he was going to use the rugby as a way of saying, no, this is our team actually, it's not a white team, it's a South African team. We are all South Africans now. That's what democracy means. We're all South Africans. So I'm going to wear the green and gold and we're going to support this team. It was fantastic. But then to go on and win the Rugby World Cup at the first time of asking, it's just kind of, it's like a benediction, sort of going, yes, a nation that is together is the way forward.
Morgan Freeman, I've followed his career for many, many years. I remember my son, who's now 41, I remember when he was just a little kid, and we would sit there and we would watch the electric company together. And here was this big, tall, rangy guy, and he danced, he sang, he read poems, he did everything. And then later on, as the years went by, I watched Street Smart, where he was the meanest guy on the planet. And then turned around, and all of a sudden, he's the nicest guy on the planet, and driving Miss Daisy. And he's just had such a wonderful career. And unfortunately, in the early '90s, I got to ride along with him. He rode along with me both in Unforgiven, and then later on in $1 Million Baby. And I'll tell you something, there's nobody better to ride along with you. And we just did Invictus together, where he played the president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. And he's played presidents before, though. He played president of the United States, and he's played God. He's played everything. I don't know, there's really not much you could say about someone who can play all those roles. You hear people, you hear him in voiceovers and everything, because he has probably got one of the smoothest deliveries of anybody on the planet. He's one of our greatest actors, always has been, always probably will be. And so I'd like to introduce my friend and somebody I have great regard for, and that's Morgan Freeman.
Beyond his contributions to cinema, Clint Eastwood is also known for his philanthropic efforts. He has been actively involved in several charitable causes, including veterans support and disaster relief. His commitment to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America also provided the youth with extracurricular activities after school. Beyond working as a board director for the California State Parks Foundation in 2001, Eastwood continued his endeavors, supporting environmental conservation projects. It was noticeable that Eastwood derived from his passions and embedded them into his storytelling. With a strong love for aviation, Eastwood worked with American sweetheart Tom Hanks on Sully, Miracle on the Hudson, a beloved film by many due to the inspiration of events which took place in January 2009.
Miracle on the Hudson. That was kind of a good omen in a bad period.
And it happened 100 seconds after takeoff. We lost thrust in both engines.
Thanks, boss. Thank you. There you go. There you go.
How about that?
I think it's fabulous.
It's fabulous.
Fantastic.
You take it over.
All right. Yes, sir.
Just step back a bit.
All right. That's the longest Clint Eastwood has talked to an actor in over 40 films.
Eastwood would keep true to his ability to build tension in cinema. By taking what he had learned on camera, he would craft masterful sequences in order to raise the stakes and in turn the audience's heartbeat. American Sniper in 2016 featured a sequence many deemed to be nerve-wracking, as Bradley Cooper's character, Chris Kyle, aims down his scope. We are left in fear as a child picks up their former comrade's RPG. The audience feels every moment of the scene, the sheer intensity that a young life might be lost. Luckily, no shot is fired.
My whole philosophy in filmmaking has been surround yourself with the best people and let them make you look good. And that's all there is to it, really. Everybody wants some secret as far as how to direct films, and that's just to make sure you've got the right people around you, and everything else kind of follows suit.
Howard,
I've always thought of you as a small, weak, and gutless man. But you know, there's no reason to be rude.
You owe me, Mike. You gave me your word. And that used to mean something.
As Clint Eastwood enters his 9th decade of life, he continues to work in the film industry. His recent projects, such as The Mule and Cry Macho, prove that age is no barrier to his passion for storytelling.
I'm thrilled he's still working. I'm glad that he keeps, learning and expanding and keeps wanting to tell stories and do this. I mean, I think, if he retired, we would probably drop dead because, those people that retire and a week later it's all over. It's so much ingrained in him and he's so passionate about it that I want him to work forever because I think it'll keep him lively and young.
Being that he's an actor, he kind of sets it up so it happens by itself. That's the best way of doing it, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing here, you're going to come over here. Let's just see what happens. How he likes to work as an actor, he sets it up for other actors to have that same experience. I guess that would be the best way of doing it. And the movie was shot in Atlanta in the summer, so it was very, very hot. And his stamina was incredible. I mean, he was just kind of coast through it, No special treatment, Lunch break, go eat with the crew, go back to work, Incredible.
Truly. It's funny, it's edgy, he's hilarious in it, and he makes you feel so much in this movie, and it's going to tug at everybody's chest.
Despite his incredible journey and numerous achievements, Clint Eastwood remains humble, a true testament to his character. In the world of cinema, Clint Eastwood is not just a legendary actor and director. He is an enduring symbol of resilience, versatility, and determination. His iconic roles, both in front and behind the lens, have solidified him as a powerhouse of the arts. His efforts towards humanitarianism have been nothing short of exceptional, leaving no doubt that his legacy will live forever.
Age is, I've sort of planned on not working at this particular time in life, but nobody can plan on what they're going to do at when you reach my age of 49, 39, or whatever Jack Benny was. I just feel that I'm enjoying work as more now than I ever have, or just as much, certainly. And I'm at an age where I can take on more challenges than I have in the past because
he's one of those characters that you just go, you walk away after talking to Clint and you feel kind of better about humanity. He's a gentleman, and he's I guess there's things to learn from him, and maybe he's looking to learn how to deliver a line. Who knows? It's his next facet.
Also, at this age, you can forget more, but I'm trying to avoid that, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy the process, and I enjoy making films from behind the camera equally as to that of being in front of the camera on all those years, and. But I don't. I just enjoy it. That's all. I've been lucky enough to work in a profession that I have really liked, and so I figure I'll just continue until somebody hits me over the head and says, "Get out."
Matt, you always look very handy when you're fighting your.
There are no aliens or asteroids in Clint's films over the last half-century. From Bird to Unforgiven to Mystic River to $1 Million Baby to Flags of Our Fathers and Letters of Iwo Jima to J. Edgar, he has accumulated a body of work that has left an indelible imprint on our culture. It is perfectly fitting that we are honoring Clint Eastwood here tonight in an art museum. For he's many things, an actor, a filmmaker, a producer, a composer, but chiefly and most undeniably, he is a true artist.